This is the Camillus FK-75 with a supposedly 3-inch blade that's made of AUS-8 or AUS-8 steel. I got this at knifecenter.com for less than 25 bucks, which kind of makes sense for its size overall and the kind of relatively basic form of steel that they use for the blade. It says on the packaging carbon nitride, which is just a reference to the anodizing they put on this, and it also says titanium. That's just a trademark, a registered trademark for the series. It doesn't actually represent a material that's used in any of the components of this knife. Now, this has an interesting design. It's a little bit unconventional, just something that I haven't seen before in several ways. First of all, it has very thick handles. These scales are quite thick indeed, and they are composite, but dual molded. So this is FRP here. It's fiber reinforced nylon blend, I believe. But this is a silicone rubber, and it's molded together in the same mold. So it doesn't have to be glued, it's actually bonded together. And this is very soft and grippy with a nice texture in there. It's almost randomized, but it's got that geometric pattern going through, which is very grippy. I think this is going to work really well for people with extra large hands, especially thick fingers, or on a work site with gloves, because having all that thickness just allows you to have a lot more control over the device, when you don't have as much dexterity available to you. It does have metal liners inside of there, steel liners, so the action is pretty respectable. There's no play in this blade side to side, and that liner lock right there is bent over, so again, helping you if you have larger fingers, or especially if you're using gloves on a work site. I think this is definitely a true utility knife that is meant to be worked with, and I appreciate that. Large lanyard hold allows you to put some relatively thick cording through there, double through if you want. Reversible clip, so you can place it on this side or over here. I think, that will work both ways. The one thing that I don't like about this is that the blade itself is kind of small relative to the size of the knife. So they say it's a 3-inch blade, but that's all inclusive. Almost 3 inches. But the cutting surface, the cutting edge itself, is nowhere near. It's not even 2.5. So they've got this gigantic ricasso down here, which has actually been turned into an alternate grip position. You can get a whole finger under there. I can choke up like this, and then they have a couple, or actually 3 different concave cutouts with jimping along the spine of this thing, starting at the handle. So I'm right-handed, but I'm using it left-handed here. It's just a little bit easier to demonstrate. I can come way back here. Again, especially if you're using gloves that are going to add extra thickness in front of the flipper slash finger guard there. You can bring it up a little bit closer like this, bring a finger under, and start choking up even farther for a little bit more control. So that's how you use that. You could even do this, but I don't recommend bringing your thumb out to this indent here, or this cutout, just because the forces are going to start pulling your index finger out towards the blade, and that's not good. There's not enough material here to hold that back. But personally, I would prefer just being able to get a good grip here, choking up here, and having the blade come all the way down and into a small little choil area. But then I could still choke up like this, and I could still get good control cutting down close. So I personally actually don't like this. Just a little bit of extra oil. Don't worry about that. But it's, again, the action works pretty well. So some good things, some bad things. I think they definitely had a lot of useful, practical design elements that went into this. The balance is fine. This thing is designed to get beat up with the FRP thick scales. It's designed to be used with gloves for sure. It's not spring assisted, but the action works, I think, just fine. Seems like it should be fairly durable. AUS-8 is going to require some regular sharpening if you're using it regularly, but just do touch up with it. It's I think a good cheap blade for doing actual regular work. Won't last forever, just with the blade material, if you do use it heavily. And you've got that limitation with the design of the blade in terms of how much cutting surface you actually get. So just consider those. I think this will definitely be a good thing for a lot of people, as long as you realize what you're getting into.